see, something is going to happen.
What is going to happen, Dave?
Something wonderful.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toplofty Lounge, episode 99, Conversations for the Elevated. Welcome to all my fellow snobs. I am your host, Science Fiction Snob. This week on the program, hey, it's our monthly movie night. And what movie are we talking about? 2010, the year we make contact, a follow-up to 2001. Yeah. But before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host. He's the something to my something wonderful. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, fans of science fiction.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, all right. It should be a nice, chill evening talking about the episode. Yes. Here is to episode 99. Welcome. Let's say welcome to everyone in the chat. Welcome, Dave. Here's to episode 99. Yeah, welcome.
Wow.
Welcome to Man Shear. Snob is in the house. Yes, I am in the house. Deep in the dugout, broadcasting from deep down. That is correct. Yes. Who else is in the chat? James is in the chat. Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello to you, too. Good to see you here. It says we have 5 people watching right now. All right. No, its number's going up 7. Oh, okay. People are coming in. That's great. Oh, it's good to see people coming in. 99 episodes of a train wreck. That's right. Time flies. Time flies when you're having fun. That's so true. Very, very true. I didn't miss anybody, I don't think. All right. Welcome. Cam. Before we get into the episode and talk about this movie that you picked, what's been up to this past week?
Well,
no chainsaw stories too.
No, well, we did have some high winds, and I saw someone had a tree down, and I thought, hey, they could probably use my help with my chainsaw, but not the kind of chainsaw story you're talking about.
Well, no, I could mean those chainsaw stories too.
I did some unfortunate landscaping work today, which I hate. Somewhere between going to the doctor and eating a bad meal, I guess.
You don't like landscaping?
No, I can't stand it. I'm too old to be digging around in the dirt and doing stupid crap like that.
Oh, well, I used to do that as a job, so
Ugh.
I don't mean landscaping. But I do mean digging in dirt.
Well, I mean, digging a hole, at least I feel like I accomplished something. Landscaping,
we mainly just dug holes. But
that's I understand that. Entrenching.
Yes, we could. That's what we call it. Give it a fancy name, make it sound cooler.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, anyway, so you did some landscaping.
And let's see what. Oh, you know what? I guess my mind is going. My mind is going, Dave. I see that, on the tool. This isn't really a tool segment or anything, but there was something I was doing, and it's escaping my mind right now. It's like how many tools I had to pull out to do this ridiculously stupid job. So everyone, make sure you have a nice set of tools to help you with your various tasks.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I think I mentioned this on a show a while ago. There was a tree that fell and cut our driveway off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that before. It's about a foot diameter. So I had to cut that down with the chainsaw. But it was a little bit this week, you have where the bar attaches to the saw itself, the motor portion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got, usually have two screws that go into there, right? And keep the bar onto the, attached to the actual motor and everything. Well, when I was cutting this tree down, I was like, oh yeah, pull out the old chainsaw, and then, I started, and then I realized, oh, one of the nuts were gone, right? Ooh. So I was like, oh well, I got to cut this because we got to, get out of here. So I went through it anyway, and nothing bad happened. But
was it the bottom one or the top one?
Well, it was the top one that was missing. If it was the bottom one, I would have switched it. Huh?
Yeah.
I would have switched it if it was the bottom one. But anyway, no. So I have one of those nuts that have not really a locking mechanism, but the bottom of the nut is flares out a little bit, and it's got some nicks in it all the way around to help keep it attached. Right? Mm-hmm. But I had I guess I had a regular nut on the other part because they always vibrate off.
Sure.
So anyway, one of the things I did this week was I'm like, well, I got to get this if I'm going to cut something because we've had a couple windstorms. That windstorm blew that tree down. So needless to say, there are many other trees. I have lots of trees. I have many other trees that have been blown down. Now they're not covering the driveway, so they don't have to be cut right away. But they should be cut and turned into firewood. And so
Absolutely.
I'm going to get this fixed. So I did go out and I got a couple extra nuts and a system to keep the thing, the thing attached. Finally, a better nut to go on there, and even a couple spares just in case. And have you ever? I didn't know that this stuff existed, but what was it called? Anyway, Loctite or something like that. Anyway,
you've never heard of Loctite?
No, I hadn't before. I think it's called Loctite. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah, anyway, that's a brand name, but yeah.
A gel that you put on a nut to keep it on there. There's different types of it.
Yeah, you put on threads, and like blue Loctite is like the kind of the base level. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got some blue Loctite because I don't want it to be permanent. I want to be able to get the bar off. I can, So I got some of that, and there's a red stuff that's permanent and various. So I actually wasn't aware of that before. So I got some of that. I haven't fixed it yet, but so I got all that stuff, and now I can finally chainsaw something in safety, and I won't be cutting my leg off or having the bar explode and the chain go flying. And yeah.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad you didn't die.
Yeah, I didn't die, luckily.
Well, I guess
I only cut the minimum. I cut like what had to be cut, and so I could get through. And then I'm like, all right, well, this is I should stop. Always check your tools, people. Do the maintenance before. Don't leave them and then go to use them and find out, oh, crap, I should have done the maintenance.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see what.
All right. Well, we're down to 5 viewers again. So.
Oh no, they nobody wants to hear about Loctite.
Yeah, maybe no. Yeah, that's true, but maybe no one wants to hear about this awesome movie either. Who knows? I'd be ashamed. So I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah. You are okay. Good. Loctite can be removed by heat, any color, really? Even the permanent one? I just got the blue stuff anyway. But that should be good enough for my chainsaw.
I would imagine that there's got to be some sort of heat resistant, maybe not Loctite brand name, but there's got to be some sort of heat resistant because there are hot applications. Of course, there's different ways to secure these. I think we lost a subscriber.
Oh well.
There are ways to check. You can check the threads, meaning use a chisel or something to bung the thread essentially, or you can mash the nut, so it's ovular, and there's a lot of ways to deal with vibration.
Yeah, I mean, anything can be removed with enough heat. Like let's
What?
Oh, you still there? Oh, we lost Cam.
No, I'm here.
Cam, you're there. Okay, so anything can be removed with enough heat. I mean,
yes.
I mean,
have you ever seen somebody burn a nut or a bolt out with a torch?
Not personally.
That's something.
I don't think, but I'm sure people have done it.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get that off, and yeah, especially with military equipment. I'm sure that's happened many a time. Outpost nerds in the chat jumped in. All right, hey, welcome. All right, we're going to talk about the movie. Oh, but first, so Cam, what did you do to increase your size?
Does superheroes count as snobbery? I mean, as sci-fi?
They can count.
Okay. Well, I did some superhero role-playing stuff this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Which was that?
Well, it's actually the Marvel one. This game group I've been with, they seem to like the mainstream stuff a little more. So, kind of dipped our toe into that, playing around. It was Fantastic Four that we were messing around with, so that's certainly in the sci-fi zone.
Yes.
But speaking of that, we just had a guest, the OGDM on Tennessee Tabletop Tavern, Bad News Bard show, just before this one, where he puts out a supplement or a game based on Shadow Dark, very popular OSR-ish game that's for vigilante play, so a superhero play. So, and he was a big fan of superhero games throughout his entire role-playing career.
Yeah.
Small world, huh?
I enjoyed playing Champions when that's the main one that I did. Though I did play the original Marvel one, I think, back from the 80s at some point.
Was it the yellow box one?
Yellow box, yes.
Okay, yeah. That was the first version that they came out with, which, I mean, the rules were basically the same, but they came out with an advanced version. Same rules, but it was way expanded in a good way. So,
I haven't done that. I enjoyed Champions. It was good. It was good fun. Mangier is a tool maker.
Okay.
Well, Cam, maybe you should be on the show for a tool segment. You make tools? Oh, interesting. All right. Well, are you on the Discord? Get on our Discord and hit up Cam there, and maybe we can work something out. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Well, what did I do? Oh, I've been not much. I've been watching it's not strictly science fiction, of course, but I watched the first episode of One Piece with my daughter, the animated version. Yeah.
I know. Oh, the animated version, the original.
Original animated. It's got I don't know, X. I don't know how many volumes.
Yeah, famously huge.
It's huge though. It's huge. I have the first volume, and the first episode says it's 3 hours long. Now, I mean, we watched the first. I mean, it's divided into. It's got 50 something chapters, and the first 6 chapters are actually the first episode, which is what we watched. It's about 20 something minutes. So that's obviously the right. I don't know how you cut it up into this. Weirdly, differently done up on the DVD or whatever. But so we just watched the first one. It's a little. Have you watched it?
You know what? I tried to watch the first episode. I don't remember what service was on. It was everybody's talking about it. I watched a little bit of the live action one and then stopped. And I said, well, let me see about this. And I was just like, no. It's I'm not saying it's bad. I know a lot of people love it, but I started to watch it and I'm like, it was a calculation I'm doing in my my little brain here. It's like, okay, this much time investment to what this potentially could be. I was like, nah.
I mean, I didn't hate the first episode, but it was it was very typical anime, right? Very much the style of drawing, the characters, the usual expressions that they do. I mean, it's a little weird. This guy shows up and he's like a rubber guy, basically he's Reed Richards, and there's the pirates, and I'm like, this is it's a bit unusual.
You know what? I gotta be honest. I'm not a huge fan of pirate stuff. I'm more of a ninja guy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, too. Pirates don't. Ninjas and spies, secret agents are more my thing. Less pirates, more spies, secret agents, and then ninjas and that kind of stuff. But yeah. the first episode of One Piece came out in 1999, and watching it shows. I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel like it showed its age so much, but I did feel it was very typical of a Japanese anime. The style and that sort of thing. We were willing to give it another try. We might watch another one and see where it goes from there.
It's even a little raw for anime. The style. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't have any problem with it, but we've developed Luffy, the first character, and then the little scared little glasses guy, and of course some red-haired girl who went over on the pirate ship and stole it, but we don't know who she is. So like I said, it's only the first. Yeah, first episode. So
Madman is got me a list of things he's suggesting I watch in anime, which I'm happy to get. And I do want to watch more anime, but I could watch 10 other shows, but 20, 30 other shows for the time it would take me to watch One Piece.
Yeah, and that's what my daughter said too. She goes, "This is like got 1,000 episodes." So I said, well, "We don't have to watch every one. Like we can start watching it and then just stop whenever we want if we don't want to watch anymore." And to me, you like stuff. I think I might enjoy that more if I was to watch anime. Well, what else have I been doing? Oh, I this week I've been watching more lately. I've been watching the Venture Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Catching up on that because I hadn't watched that. So I missed a few episodes. Like I think I missed the first episode of season 1 and the first of season 2. And I'm somewhere on like episode 5 or something like that on season 2, 4 or 5, something like that. And I'm enjoying it. It's it's very it fits my sense of humor, of course. So this sort of parody and sort of thing. Did you watch the Venture Brothers?
Yes, but I haven't watched the very end. I've been because as you know, there was a big gap between it all coming out, and I have it. I bought the DVD of the movie or whatever was the last bit, and it was so long before since I had watched even the last part, before that, I had kind of said I want to watch from the very beginning and watch all the way through. So that's the reason why I have it. But it's a great show.
I think it's 4 seasons, something like that.
I think it's more than that.
More 6.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm guessing there was 6 seasons plus the extra stuff, but I don't remember. Again, it was so split up.
Neutron, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah. Go Team Ventures. So, now? I mean, I missed the season episode 1 of season 2. So in the end of season 1. The Venture Brothers get somebody knocks them over and their little bicycles get knocked over into the side of the exploded and on fire. And then I didn't see episode 1 of season 2. And then episode 2 of season 2, they're like talking real suspiciously and they're like, oh, they're waking up from their sleep things. And I hope we got them, I hope we got all the information in there and stuff. So I'm wondering, I don't know, but 7 seasons. But did they die and then they cloned them or something?
Spoilers, yes.
Okay, I'm like, they're like all nervous and stuff, and I'm like, oh, we got the information. They do something about a birthday, and they're like, hey, how come you're saying I'm this old, but my birthday says I'm a year older? And I'm like, wait a second, did they clone the whole episode where they cloned? I guess they did. Because
it is all explained.
All right. Well, I guess I got to go back and find that episode and see it. So I guess they died. I'm like, this is like, did they die? They must have. I mean, not surprising. So good. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite character on that show?
Oh, boy.
Just say the first 2 seasons, let's say, because I don't know any other.
Orpheus, I guess, probably.
Oh, really? Mine too. simply because his way he talks and everything's all like, oh, everything's like the dimensions are gonna fold in amongst themselves or something.
I like how he always says Mr. Venture
Yeah,
as opposed to Doctor.
Don't call him Doctor.
Yeah,
and the Adventure. I mean, so he's actually my. I was. He's my favorite as well because the way he talks.
there's so many.
Yeah, but of course, the Monarch is always very, any supervillain who's like over the top like that, who's not really, Dr. Girlfriend. There's some good characters in there.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Venture brothers themselves are starting to grow on me.
Okay, you ready? Let's do the Venture because it's super science, right? The show is all about super science. Venture Brothers retrospective. Let's do it.
I guess we're gonna have to. We have to wait till I'm.
We could speed run it though. We could. We don't have to do it week to week.
No, yeah. We could just do some sort of. Yeah. I have to watch more episodes. I guess we can do that. Just said, what does the chat think? Would you like to hear about the Venture Brothers?
Yeah.
Or is that a show? We'll do it anyway.
Okay. I know someone, a lady.
The chat doesn't run my show.
You want to hear my anecdote?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. What? And I think I mentioned this to you.
Welcome, PB.
Okay, you remember Brian Shearer, right? GI Joe.
Yeah, of course.
Artist extraordinaire. Well, okay, and he has his community on the Discords and such, and one of the people there knows Doc from Venture Brothers, and was
the guy who does a bunch of the voices.
Yeah, the co-creator.
He's a co-creator, right?
Yeah, it's right. Jackson Public and Doc are the two guys, that basically do everything. And they and she mentioned this one time, came up or whatever. She mentioned that she went to college with him, I guess, and was in one of his student movies or something. I don't remember the exact details of this, but it'd be funny to. If we do that, I can talk to her and see if she's interested in coming on.
Can she get Doc?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if she's kept in contact with him over the years, but
we get Doc to be on the show. That would be awesome. I think that. Where do you get the idea? Is this? Yeah, and of course, I think. I mean, now which character is the best name? From the first two seasons,
Billy Quizboy.
Billy Quizboy. He's good, but he's no Molotov cocktease.
Oh boy.
Come on, that is the best name ever. She's just, I mean, like, oh, who thought of that? Wow. Like, come on. You are
those
just,
guys. That's who.
I know. They are just like, I'm like, holy moly. How did you get Molotov cocktail? But yes. I was like, oh, that is just so good. Yeah, there's some pretty interesting things, that they just hide in there and just sneak in there. I love how they don't show the whole story. The last episode I saw was part 2 of their. They go back in time, and the mummies got them, or these like. And I'm just like, the most of the show, it's like called something the mummies, right? And then they show they don't show, we don't have part 1. So they simply just show, a rehash of part 1. And you're like, something time travel and, this God and that and whatever. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I don't need to know anymore. And then the vast majority of the episode is they escape and Dr. Venture goes off home and he forgets to come back to get the rest of them. And the most of the episode is him goofing off with Orpheus and the other guys trying to build a shrink ray so he can prove that he can make himself smaller than Orpheus. Right. Oh, wait, I forgot to go and get those guys. Oh, yeah. Well,
it's a very, the references are thick in this show, and it's really a Gen X kind of thing. Yeah. It's the creators are, our generation. Not that you can't enjoy it otherwise, but it's really one of those things that you can't fully appreciate unless you've kind of grown up with those kinds of references. So I guess it's good it's over.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Everyone in the chat is talking about Hollywood and SAG and
so we're doing a terrible job here. How about we get
listening to anything that we're saying?
How about we get to the movie?
Yeah, we should. Though this is interesting. I mean, going over the chat, I kind of agree with what you guys are saying. Let's say hi to Mr. Milquetoast. Welcome. And Deplorable Duck. Have we seen you before? Deplorable Duck, Lauren Todd. I don't know that I've seen that name before. So if you're new, welcome. Welcome.
Yes,
right.
Please throw Snob a sub if you can, because
make up for the one that we just lost.
Pretty sad.
The beginning of the show. All right.
All right, 2001 or 2010.
Let's talk about it. In the movies in 2010, we're in deep space. In real life, like 2026, we're still orbiting the moon. Yeah, I know. It's pretty depressing. Pretty depressing.
Yeah,
it's not your fault. You can talk about whatever you want in the chat. It's do what you want. Sorry, go ahead. You gonna comment about that, Cam?
I was gonna say, when you take a 50-year break, 50+ year break, it kind of puts a
a
damper on things. What are you talking about? Mondale's the guy.
No, it's Nixon. Nixon did it. He's like, he basically said after the race riots and stuff, he said, listen, we need to, and of course the Soviets basically gave up as well. So you didn't have that, you didn't have to worry about them so much. But he basically said, hey, we need to focus more on the home front and sorting things out. And then that was the end of the manned space race, basically. I mean, other factors, of course, but yeah. Well, the chat will not be dictated to. Yes, excellent.
The chat rules everything.
Good. The chat rules everything. Yes.
Okay, shall we get into it?
Dave saw the movie and it opened in the theaters, enjoyed it then, and holds it for me. I don't think I saw this before watching it now. I'm watching it. If I saw it, it was like forever ago. But I'm watching it. I'm like, I don't remember any of this, so I'm thinking that maybe I haven't seen it. I've seen 2001, of course.
I remember it pretty well. I had seen 2001 before this because my friend group it was really my role playing group that was older than me. I'm sure I saw 2001 because of them. They were big fans of it. The one guy was a huge Stanley Kubrick fan. And so when this came out, I was like, oh, let's do this. But this was again a really short time period. If this was not, because we were talking beforehand, in my mind it's like there's no way this could be out in 1984. It just doesn't seem to add up with everything else in my timeline, but clearly it is. So I must have seen them in pretty close order.
Cam's experiencing the Mandela effect.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. All right, Cam, do you want to do the movie summary, or am I putting you on the spot? Do you want me to
well, do we want to do a summary, or do you just want to kind of go?
Well,
just
as
we go.
We have to at least do the tombstone data on the. All right.
Then you do.
Okay, so 2010, directed by Peter Hyams, also did the screenplay based on 2010 Odyssey 2 by Arthur C. Clarke, starring Roy Schneider, John Lithgow, Helen Mirren, and some other various people. Music by David Shear. Release date December 7th, 1984. Just under 2 hours, 116 minutes. The budget was $28 million. Can you believe they did this movie for $28 million? Like looking at it now. And box office $40.4 million in North America. So it made money. It did pretty good. Yeah. All right. So okay.
All right.
That's it. The effects are superb in the film. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you didn't see 2001, you might be confused, but there's a lot to 2001. But in terms of this movie, at the beginning of this, they have some on-screen text, and it really does a pretty good job of bringing you up to speed. So I think that if you hadn't seen 2001, there will be some things that are a little confusing, but generally, I think it's possible, to still enjoy this movie without having seen 2001. I imagine you'd probably want to go back and watch 2001 after watching this to get the full story if you liked it. But the movie stands on its own pretty darn well with that opening, not a crawl, but a call it a readout. So just maybe just quickly, we should say, in 2001, you've got this whole thing where it starts at the dawn of time or whatever, the dawn of history. I forget what the exact thing says. Wait, am I forgetting? Did we do 2001? Did we ever just?
I'm not sure. Did we? Oh, I mean, 99 shows. Sometimes
maybe I'm sure we've talked about it at some point, but probably not a whole show on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have. I mean, I remember watching it somewhat recently in the last couple of years, 2001.
Well, why don't you search the channel and see if we did?
Good night, Mr. Milquetoast. I don't want to dig all that. I'm focused on this.
Dawn of Man. Dave says, okay.
Dawn of Man. Well, I would probably believe Dave. That sounds about right.
Okay. Yes, I will take that him and his word on that. Anyway, it starts out, where you've got these pre-human apes. They're depicted as apes in the book. I think that they're not quite like gorilla. In the movie, they're very ape-like. I think they're a little less so in the book, which I did read a few years ago. I had read it before that, but I reread it. It's actually quite short, but anyway, so they show kind of this whole thing where there's these tribes that are kind of going at each other, and I don't want to describe too much, but anyway, this monolith shows up, this rectangle which you see in this movie, and it causes things to happen, which is implying it's basically they caused man to evolve, and then it jumps into the far-flung future, hundreds of thousands, if not more, million years, to when was it 1999, was it?
The first
where it began. Because 2001 is referring to when they actually arrive, because they're dealing with conventional space flight in this world, not super science, anything like this. It's and bearing in mind, this was made before the moon landing. And yes, for the purposes of this, we're going to assume the moon landing was real because I don't want to go crazy. But so then, there's this whole thing where they've discovered another one of these monoliths on the moon, some excavation they were doing. And then, they are trying to figure out what's going on with it. Long story short, it sends this message that they're able to track to Jupiter, around Saturn in the book. And so they send this spaceship out there to investigate, this team with the Discovery, the Discovery. Right. And, it's a crew of 5 plus the HAL 9000, which is basically running things, a AI computer, and wackiness ensues. We never see the other three. They were the two crew members were basically Dave and Frank were
Bowman and O'Toole was his name.
Poole.
Poole. Yes, Poole.
They were the active crew. Their job was to get them out there essentially. Yeah. And then the other 3 members were the mission specialists essentially that were supposed to do something. And they weren't aware of what, each of the other was doing. And Hal, of course, was, running things. Well, Hal ends up killing Frank, and tries to kill Dave and kills the other 3 who are in cryo sleep.
Yes.
And then, so that, this is a famous scene where Dave is able to, he traps him outside, tries to kill him by just leaving him outside. Essentially, they have these pods, the Discovery has these pods. The Discovery's a really cool spaceship too. And I like this whole, 2001, 2010, because I can't say it's real, but it's realistic in terms of, space travel and what a real spaceship might be like, for this kind of.
I like the spaceship designs in both of these movies. The only thing is it seems roomy, True. Like if you look at Apollo missions and the mission, the Artemis mission that just happened, I mean, these guys are all tripping all over each other. It's a little more roomy there, which is, great for them. But
true. And there are issues with that and everything, but this is certainly realistic science fiction speculation. It's like, if you were to expand to get to it's again, they're not flying around with warp drive and any of this stuff, There's things like launch windows they pay attention to, and fuel and things like that. But yeah, the Discovery is quite large. There's a lot of living space in it. Anyway, so and hey, Weatherman's here. Nice to see you. We were wondering.
Good to see you.
Yeah, hope you feel better.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got hit with it a little over a year ago for the second time. But who knows?
Good to see you though.
There is a bad flu going around. I know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they have Dave basically they run into this very large monolith out there around Jupiter, and Dave goes to investigate in a pod, and then he's not heard from again, and that's where this movie picks up.
Yes.
Okay. And that's what they introduce, at the beginning. Should I let the music play?
No, go ahead. This is just background.
Okay.
Just thought I'd give you a little bit of the atmosphere.
Sure. Okay. So this 2010 starts. It's 9 years after 2001, which is when the Discovery, they lose contact with the Discovery and Dave. And so I guess, they say it's 9 years later. So the beginning of this movie would be 2010, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Well, then, because obviously it takes a while to get out there. So the main character of this movie is Dr. Haywood Floyd, who was a character in the original 2001. He was basically he was in charge of it's not NASA, team. Right? But it's not NASA. It's more
NCA.
What do they call it? Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's American NASA.
Yeah. So and he was there when they discovered. He's the guy sent to investigate. When they discovered the monolith on the moon and everything, and then so he sends them on this mission. So at this point, again in the future, 9 years in the future, we're in 2010 here. Hey, Weatherman, thanks for the membership.
Thanks for the membership, Weatherman. Appreciate it.
He's no longer working for that. Someone has replaced him, and he's a professor at not a professor, the chancellor or whatever of a university. And they start the opening scene is with him at a large array of like a radar dish array or whatever for
radio telescopes.
Yeah, and doing something there, and and then a guy shows up who runs the Phoenix Foundation for MacGyver. It's a bit of a joke. It's the same actor who played the guy, MacGyver's boss, is playing a Russian, basically his Russian counterpart, or what? I'm sorry, I'm blanking
Russian
on his name. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look up his name. Go ahead.
Okay. And so, again, they're out here in the middle of the desert or whatever. And so he comes up and he starts questioning him, this fairly influential Russian guy, essentially. And, he's like kind of standoffish. And you have to remember, this is in the height of the Cold War, right? This is before the, thanks, Dave. Before the Berlin Wall came down and everything, so this is again during Reagan's presidency, actually just after the 84 election, I guess it came out. So, so there's a lot of standoffish behavior between the two, but so there, it's like, what do we know? What do you know? Kind of thing. There's this back and forth, and the setup is that the U.S. is building the Discovery 2 to go out there and find out what's been happening. And Roy Scheider, who plays Floyd, is aware. He's kind of in tune with things, even though he's no longer part of the officially working for the government. And it's just the Soviets are building their own ship to go out there and try and, because this is alien life that they've discovered, but they really have no answers.
It's a giant
Well,
monolith. I mean,
right?
2 kilometers long at Jupiter.
Right.
What the heck's going on?
And it's not natural. And they talk about that a little bit too. They go back and forth about, because the US, I guess, is in possession of the monolith they found on the moon still. And, that they tried to test it. They use lasers on it. They said something about nuclear. They tried to blow it up, I guess, and nothing is able to put a scratch on it, And so again, they had this scene between the two of them where there's a lot of information dump, but it was done very well.
Yeah, they basically do a thing that, the Russian says, well, they negotiate 3 minutes, they could get down to a minute and a half.
Well, he said at first it's like, 2 minutes.
We will not lie to each other during this time. And you ask a question, you got to tell the truth.
Right. Which I thought was a very effective scene.
Yeah, I thought it was.
And because again, it portrayed the Cold War thing and the distrust well, but it also gave information to the audience in an effective way that didn't feel like an information dump, even though it largely was. Long story short, the Discovery is going to take some additional, I forget exactly what it was, another year or something before the Discovery 2, before it was finished. And the Leonov, which it was renamed, it was a little bit in there. It's like, I thought it was named to something else. And he's like, oh, that guy's out of favor now. So now it's the Leonov. Anyway, the Russian ship is very close to being finished, and they're going to get there first. And the guy's like, there's nothing you can do about it. Again, it's not like, oh, well, we'll just get our ship up there early. No, this is real. They can't do it. So his proposal is essentially that they'll team up. The Russian guy wants to team up to see what they can find, because the reason he needs help from the US is the Discovery is and HAL is made by Americans. So they won't know what to do when they get there. So it's basically the Russians can get there, but they don't know what to do. And the US has the know-how, but they can't get there soon enough. So
on that, it's interesting that there's no equal to HAL on the Russian spaceship. So either the Russians have decided not to put artificial intelligence on their ships, or they're purposefully are not, they cannot do it. They're way behind the US in artificial intelligence, which I think is probably what they're suggesting, but I'm not sure. I don't know. You can comment on that?
Yeah, you're right. There is no indication they have an artificial intelligence of any kind on their ship. So it's you all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to let you know, I can't hear anything though.
You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you. I can't hear any music.
Well, I just turned it off.
Oh, okay. All right. Behind the scenes, I had asked Snob if he could just turn it down a slight bit.
I can't. I basically, if I turn it down anymore on the thing, it'll turns off.
Okay. All right. All right. Well,
it's just the atmosphere. If it's interfering with the show, I'll just turn it off. It's no big deal.
I'll go with the chat's desire on this, but so. David's saying interesting note here. Arthur C. Clarke had a cameo in the bench outside the White House on the camera on left.
Yes,
which
quiet you. I've got that now on the next slide.
Oh, okay. we're actually getting to that scene because the Russian guy kind of leaves him dangling. He's like, he mentioned before. He's like, oh, you're a smart man. You'll figure it out. So he goes to Floyd goes to talk to the current director. The guy who took over his job basically. And, obviously these guys know each other. I'm blanking on the character's name.
I'll just look it up real quick. His name escaped. He's not in the movie that much.
Okay.
Anyway, this is the scene we're talking about here. They're talking about it right there. And that's Arthur C. Clarke on the left of the screen there. The old guy.
Oh yeah.
They put him in, and Dave is correct. He is in that.
And so they're having this discussion. It's basically, Floyd is trying to convince this guy to convince the president. And we learn through this scene, there is a major, Well, actually, they mentioned it in the first scene with the other Russian guy. There's a major escalation going on in Central America between the U.S. and the Soviets, which was, the kind of stuff that was going on at that time. And so things are getting real dangerous, and the president is portrayed as being very, uh, uh, highly engaging in the brinksmanship. So it's a little funny because this is portrayed in 2010, and in 1984. So what's that? 20 or 15, 25 years later, they're predicting that everything is still, in the same kind of state. That this would have continued forever, or at least for another 25 years, and of course we know that didn't happen. But interesting, from this perspective, because it really is set more as if it is 1984, not 2010 in terms of the political situation. You want to say anything about that, or?
No, that's you pretty much got that. I found this interesting. All right, so some of the chat wants the music. I've got the music on. It's set at 3, basically the lowest setting I can possibly. 3 out of 150.
Okay, turn it on to 4.
No, it's hard to, but yeah. So that's of course that's
your handshake. Is that the problem?
Part 1. Yeah, that's playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, I don't want to talk to the president. Anyway. So they do. I forget. I think I don't remember if this is where Floyd mentions the plan. That he wants to go because he sent these guys out there and they're gone, missing, or dead. Mm-hmm. and he wants to find out what happened. So that's kind of the driving factor of the protagonist here
too.
Yeah, right.
He sent them up there and they failed, even though it's not his fault. No one thinks it's his fault, I don't think. Yeah, and so he gives a couple suggestions to his counterpart, saying, tell him that we'll lie, tell him this, you don't want those Russians climbing all over that space station or our ship, right? Without us there, if we're there, we can at least take control of it.
Right. And he's trying to play the political game here, to get what he wants.
Yeah.
Milson. Right. Milson's the other, the new director. And he mentions that, Victor Milton, is it?
Victor Milson. Yeah.
Okay. Milson.
Is the actor. Oh, he died last year.
Huh.
Anyway.
So they want to bring along the guy who was who's basically the designer or the engineer on the Discovery, and then also his name's Kurnow, who is played by John Lithgow,
right?
And the Dr. Chandra, who is I guess he's Hal's creator. I think I don't remember if they mentioned Chandra in 2001, because I think Hal says something about who developed him or who trained him or something in the original movie.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. He's the computer expert, Dr. Chandra, and he's played by Bob Balaban.
Yeah.
So that's the the U.S. team, and so this forms up, and there's the scene with Roy Scheider, Floyd and his wife. He's remarried in this. He had a wife and a kid in 2001 that you saw briefly, who was a little girl. He talked to his daughter on the screen, from the space station, and now we find out later his wife died and he remarried, and now he has another young son, who's I don't know 4, 5, something like that. I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. And so, he basically breaks the news to his wife, who's a marine biologist and significantly younger than him, that he's going to be gone for a couple of years, and she's like, pretty devastated by it. And he's just like, I got to do this kind of thing.
What did you think of the scene in his house there with the marine bio? They got the swimming up dolphins and the,
yeah. it was a little strange. It's like you have dolphins in your house, but I guess it makes sense. She's a marine biologist, and they have their home, a place where they can do that, on the coast.
I thought it was
Um,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, it was cool. And I like how the little kids feeding them with the raw fish, and it just comes to the dinner table, which is like right next to the dolphin pool. I mean, sure. I guess if you're rich and you're a marine biologist, you can do that. But they have a little brief scene of him like training, because again, Ray Scheider's fairly old at this time, in his 50s, I guess, at the time of that movie, or maybe late 40s. Older guy, not older guy, but not young. And so they show him kind of training, running and doing push-ups or sit-ups or whatever, indicating he's going to go on this mission. And then, boom, there they are. They're on the mission. They waste no time, and they're out in space. And I forget if they said did they say how much time had gone past?
I don't remember them saying how much time.
Something, I'm guessing it's like a year and a half or something to get out there. And again, there's some more exposition. He's talking to his little kid who's like riding his little big wheel or something as he's running, as Roy Scheider's running, and the kid's asking questions, and he's mentioning, it's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to go to sleep for a long time. And he's like, are you going to die? And he's like, what are you talking about? He says, oh, when, grandpa, whatever. They said he was going to sleep.
Grandpa went to sleep for a long time. He died.
Yeah. And he's like, no, this is different, So, it was kind of these, it gave you a little, it humanized Floyd a little bit, right?
Yeah. I appreciated this, the way they did it, though. I don't want to see a big montage of them training and stuff. That's not what the story's about.
Right.
A little bit of humanity. We see what kind of a father he is, a little bit of, something about his family, so that the tension is, higher when they, almost die on the mission type of thing. But I don't need that. And they just jump right to the, hey, we're almost Jupiter. That's good.
I'm sorry, I forgot there was one scene, and that was with Chandra. They showed him in his office, wherever that is. This is the guy, and he's there with the SAL 9000 computer, and which Weatherman had mentioned.
Yeah.
And this computer, and because the whole point is that Hal was deactivated, and they don't know what's going to happen. And Dave Bowman, the commander who deactivated him or partially deactivated him, basically cut off his higher functions, but they needed him to still run part of the ship. So he did this, but he's not an expert, so they don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, so Dr. Chandra is talking to Sal about, that he wants the computer's help to, Sal is a female, portrayed, female sounding computer, and he asked her about, I'll say her, even though it's it, about if she'll help him, and she's like, oh, sure, well, what do we do? He's like, I want to shut you off, basically, shut you down and see what happens.
Turn off the higher functions and see how she reacts and stuff.
Right, and in the world of today, when we kind of deal with AI interactions and things, it seems a little rudimentary, in various ways. But I don't remember noticing that with Hal so much in 2001 when for that. It didn't stand out in a bad way to me, and it was kind of refreshing to see, a portrayal of AI that isn't the slop that we have today, and the, oh, I just want to please you, or the weirdness of it. It seemed more reasonable. I'm like, oh, I wish AI was more like this, even though Hal murdered some people. Yeah,
really,
definitely.
Because let's talk a little bit about the AI and how it's portrayed in the movie. I was a little like, watching 2001, it's a little bit disturbing, Hal's all like, he's the essence of, oh, you can't do that, Dave. You shouldn't do that. Like, he's like this, all powerful, adult. And you're like, no, don't do that. And you're trying to convince him all the time to do something. And, even in this movie, Chandra is always like, is that okay, Hal? Oh, yes, that would be fine, Dr. Chandra. Like you're just like
Well,
I'm just like my stomach is getting a little. You're supposed to do what you're told, and they're always basically trying to. They're treating the Hal like he's a toddler with a machine gun, and nobody else
okay,
has
but
one.
you
Just
got to
put
keep
down
in
the
mind.
it's okay. You don't have to. Oh, okay. Yeah. Like he's like I found that portrayal of AI actually more scary than some others because you
Oh,
have to sort of stroke them, talk to them, talk them down a little bit. I don't know. Maybe you disagree.
well, okay. A lot of this plays into who Chandra is and his mindset towards this. This is important. This is an important
Yes.
point you're bringing up here. And obviously, Hal had murdered people. So there's a reason they're tiptoeing around him because they don't know what went wrong. Initially, it's like, why did this happen? And we'll get to that a little bit more.
But Chandra is even he tiptoes around Sal even, right? Like it shows a little bit about
Well,
his
he treats Sal like a person, right?
Yeah.
And this is something about him in particular in this movie, right? That they're portraying this. At least that's the way I took it.
Same.
Okay. He views these computers as being alive, and this is in this discussion with Sal. He's talking, and because Sal's like, Dave says here, will I dream? And he says, of course, all intelligent, beings dream. That's what he tells Sal. So he's very much in the mind of, this hippy dippy. This is equivalent to a person kind of thing.
Yeah. You see some of that in 2001 too, with Hal, don't do this, and
Well,
you're right about Chuck. He is quite far on that. He treats him like people for sure.
Well, and as I was watching this earlier in the week, I was texting Snob, and I was like, I'll come right out. So I love this movie. And I'm like, we're 15 minutes in and we're dealing, we've got this Cold War stuff. We've got, this personal conflict. We've got, this whole concept of AI and what it means. And, is it life? Is it alive? Is it an intelligence? What is it really, that they're packing into this movie in rapid fire, versus, some much less efficient and effective storytelling that you hear. Manisher says Chandra was mentally unhinged like Daystrom from Star Trek. Well, maybe a little bit. We'll get to that.
He's not portrayed as being mentally unhinged, though he's a little weird. And he does treat the AIs and everyone else, like Floyd is like, well, just turn it off. Tell him to do this. Tell him to do that. And he's like, I can't do that. You gotta tell him the truth and stuff. And,
Yeah, but see, Weatherman says typical psychologist with a fascination. You could delve into this whole thing real deep. But in this movie,
it's well portrayed. Like you could see people like that,
right?
Personalized, animals, AI, whatever it is. And they may be right in some sense.
These are important questions, right? To ask,
right?
And they're my point is this movie is effectively portraying that via these characters, right? They're the characters have a personality and a purpose that serves the plot.
Yes.
And it's very, very well done. Anyway, so
what about this portrayal of AI? This is like this is a very, I find these movies very scary portrayal of AI because of that idea that we're here and they're like this, like I said, a toddler with a machine gun, and we have to try to convince them not to point that gun at us. Put the gun down. Don't pull the trigger.
Okay, you're saying that, and I agree. What you mean by that, but what they portray in this movie is a fraction of what we have right now. That we talk about these things, and I kind of go off on this sometimes on this show or elsewhere, where the same kind of thing you're talking about. We're going to get to this. You're jumping ahead a little bit, but as if this thing has the power. It does have the power. It did have the power to do these things in 2001, for example. In the real world today, AI is or is on the verge of having way more power and probably does already that we don't know what our government's doing with these things. That's way more than we are aware of. And like I was talking about, it's like, well, pretty soon. Well, okay, our guest from last week, it's like, why did her channel get demonetized? Because some moron put AI in charge of it and just says, oh yeah, the AI says this, so I'm not even going to check it. I'm not going to confirm that anything's true or not. The AI said so it's true. And I make snide comments like, well, that's coming to your healthcare. That's coming to everything in your life. Oh, you don't get to bank anymore. You don't get to, do this or that. That's what we're looking at in the real world. So no, when I look at what's portrayed in this movie, it's like, oh, how quaint. You have it in charge of a spaceship. Well, you see what I'm saying?
No, I see what you're saying.
I find the real world far more terrifying than what's portrayed in this movie.
And the NSA is into the chat cam.
Uh-oh.
Supposed to keep that.
Yeah, at least their AI is.
You're right, but you're talking about Jill's channel, and we think, we don't know for sure, but we think an AI, falsely flagged her as being an AI.
Right.
Therefore,
irony of ironies, right?
Yeah. But I mean, that's just because that's actually, shows that the AI is actually stupid because it can't tell the difference.
Yes.
And Google YouTube is foolish for allowing these AIs to do it without proper oversight.
Well,
getting rid of someone's channel is a lot different than killing them on a spaceship. That's
okay.
A little more power, but I get your point.
Again, don't make the mistake of thinking that people's lives will not be decided by AI if they're not already. That might be a comforting wish, but I'm very skeptical of it. But later on, we should talk about, the scene where Hal is like, well, we'll get to that. But about AI off-air possible. Sure, Phoebe. You got my...
NSA is not listening.
Anyway, yeah, well, no, it's listening everywhere. Don't worry. I'm not trying to get into conspiracy theories or anything. I'm just saying that, you can't open a stupid Adobe file without, hey, what AI did? Hey, how about our AI does this? You can't do a search and it was like, oh, you want an AI answer? Every damn thing from everywhere. We have this AI fever going on that probably won't lead anywhere good. But sorry, tangent. Let's get back to the movie since we.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because as the chat knows, that Cam is actually an AI that I programmed
Beep bop.
to do this. But anyway. I just thought I'd bring that up because I think it's an interesting, how different. I mean, it's almost to show there how AI is portrayed in various different media. But anyway, okay,
yeah,
I at least brought that up.
Yeah. So anyway, there was a scene with Chandra, which was again important because it introduced us to the character and let us know his mindset on all these things. One of the things Sal mentioned that, she was curious about what happened to Hal too, because again, in 2001, it was like, no 9000 series computer has ever made a mistake or willfully done, whatever the speech was about that. And then, so this would have shaken the world of computing and of finding out what happened with Hal. Okay. So back to, they're out in space. And the Russian, so it's run by the Russians, and the three U.S. guys are guests on there. Captain Helen Mirren is in charge.
How do you think of her portrayal? When I first saw it, I'm like, that's Helen Mirren? No, it's not.
Yeah. I thought she did a great job in this movie.
I thought she did a great job too. Yeah.
Her name is escaping me again. I have trouble keeping. Kerbuk.
Oh yeah, the character name Tanya.
Yeah,
Kerbuk.
Yeah. So she's in charge. So basically in space we come in and they're waking Floyd up. And
waking him up early.
Well, yeah. They the information dumps in this show are really effective. They just here it is, and they keep the audience up to speed with what's going on. I think they said they're a few days out from their destination at this point, and they said that his government asked him to be woken up because of what has been happening in terms of the mission. And so they wake up, they show the doctor waking him up, and he's because of his hibernation, he's disoriented or whatever bit. But then they get to the scene, that you're showing here, where they're having a meeting going on, and it's basically like they're just kind of giving him nothing. He's trying to ask questions about what's going on and this and that, and they're all really reticent to say anything.
So they've detected something on Europa, which turns out they think is chlorophyll.
Right. And, he's trying to, he's asking, it's like, oh, we did this analysis or whatever. And they're just, it turns out, so this is kind of leading into that, the situation in, again, I don't know how many months it's been, but quite a few, has continued to degrade on Earth. They're getting closer and closer to war, essentially, with the Soviets and the US over the Central American issue. And so he's kind of frustrated. He's like, look, we're out here to do this mission. We're scientists. Can we just do it? And they can, they acquiesce a little bit, but not really. They portray this tension between the Soviets and the US guys quite well.
Yeah, and I think they do a good job because, first of all, Floyd has been asleep for whatever, a year and a half. Things have gotten worse,
right?
And so the Soviets know all about it, and they've been following it probably day by day. But he, of course, has no idea about what's going on. And they've also received orders from their government that they're supposed to be, less. I don't know what they don't say specifically, but they hinting, we're under orders, and they're like, what? Orders not to be mean to me, or sorry, orders to be mean to me? Orders not to share, like to keep things,
and
he makes the amount of information or something like that, right?
Yeah, and the captain makes the point about this. It's like, I'm also a Soviet military officer, because we're scientists, where he was like, I'm also, so it was like, there was no, oh yes, we're all going to work together and everything's nice. It's like, the reality of the Cold War stuff was not forgotten in the plot at this point.
Yeah.
Right. So they're heading out there. Go ahead.
At least at this point, it's not forgotten.
Yeah. And, Snob, I've been talking this whole time. If you want to take any part of the detail here, go.
You're good. I'll keep I'll inject my stuff.
Okay. I want to kind of speed up because we're getting long here. Okay. So then, they're passing by, they're still on the way to Jupiter, passing by Europa, and where they got this information. So they want to send a probe to, see what's going on. They do, but something comes flying out of there, an energy burst. And did it destroy the probe?
As far as
okay. So there was like, they're coming, and there's like in this, they're operating the probe. One of the Russian scientists and Floyd is like looking over his shoulder or whatever. And it's going like, it's this chime that's going off as they get closer and closer. So it's kind of giving the audience this audio cue of what's going on. And when they get right down to it, and then this thing goes off and destroys the probe.
Yeah, they lose the feed, so we assume that the probe is destroyed. It's just static.
Right. And then, they have this, and it goes flying off. And they, Floyd's like, it seemed like a warning, so they're like, okay. So, they're continuing on as this, because again, it's not like, oh, let's just change course and go see what happened,
Yeah, they're on course. They don't have extra fuel. They can't. They only can do a flyby and do the probe, and they only really have one shot at it.
Right, and they mentioned that they're like, we're getting farther away now. We basically can't do it again. So now they're again. This was only it was a short period of time. It was just 2 days or whatever before they were supposed to arrive, which is really, really short time if you think about it. They're very. I guess it's implying that the space travel has advanced, because today they prep to do this relatively simple things. Anyway,
let's really quick just answer this Mangier's question. They mentioned in this movie that all the monoliths have the perfect ratio, 1/4/9, which is 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared.
Right.
And all of them have that, but they are I mean, the one that they're going to visit is 2 kilometers, and they mentioned the sizes of the other one, which I can't remember. But yeah, that is a big thing that is mentioned. The ratios are all the same for all of them. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
And at some point they mentioned, I was like, what does that mean? It's like, well, who knows? But I mean, obviously, it's not an accident that something is, there's a dual meaning in there. Obviously, like you said, 1/4/9, which is the square of 1, 2, 3, which is demonstrating mathematics, right?
And that's
anyway.
Actually, that's exactly the height I am. I'm 9 feet tall. 4 feet.
4 feet wide and 1 foot.
And 1 feet. Yeah. So perfect. Anyway.
Okay. PB saying 18 months. That's what I had initially guessed. They probably said it, and I just didn't remember it. Right. But
same thing. I thought it was something like that.
So now they have to do this braking maneuver to get into parking orbit or orbit around Jupiter.
Yeah.
So there's a scene that's kind of dramatic where they're doing this whole thing. It's cool. I don't know about space travel really, and whether that's an actually accurate way of doing things or something like it. But basically, they inflate these balloons on the outside of the ship, to cause drag, as they're using the atmosphere, the outer atmosphere of Jupiter to slow down. So it's this whole scene where they're like, everyone's like tense about it and everything. And
fireball in the ship.
Right. And it's cool special effects too. They're going around, they show this thing just like, engulfed in flame, again, due to, the heat and everything. So I really liked it. But it's also a little stupid because like, Floyd is just like they have like a sleeping pod or something, their little area, it's like a capsule hotel on board here. And
actually that's what a Japanese capsule hotel. Yeah, exactly.
And you were mentioning the space and everything. This is also quite spacious. They have like a room, with a conference table and things like that, and hallways. And we should mention that, the Discovery, had artificial gravity by rotation, and this ship does as well. This ship has a strange similarity to the Earth ships in Babylon 5, with their rotating sections. It's basically a spine with a large rotating section that, juts out perpendicular from the spine. So that's how they have gravity on the ship here.
Let me mention that I think this scene is interesting. The aerobraking scene. I mean, for all those technical reasons, but this scene is interesting because this here, as you can see in this picture, this female crew member, who I think is a minor crew member. I mean,
yeah, you do see her a few other times.
Yeah, but she's she's not the captain. She's not super important.
And she doesn't speak English.
Yeah, she doesn't speak any English. She comes in and she's afraid and she wants to basically snuggle up to Floyd during this because it hasn't been done before.
Right.
They're they don't know if it's going to work. So I mean, maybe is it a little overdone? Maybe, but it's kind of showing the humanity of the Russians, and she just wants some sort of human comfort in case this is her last moments. But she knows nothing about Floyd. She's never even talked to him. He's been awake for like a day.
And it might be one of those things. It's like she can't show this to her Russian comrades here. She might be chastised
if they knew that she was here. Like perhaps,
right.
There might be a report. Like maybe they wouldn't say anything, but the captain might put a little note on a report. For when they get back, or something like that, right? But I felt this was kind of interesting that she would, realistic. I don't know, but
the part that's not
what the filmmaker is trying to say. What you think the filmmaker is trying to say with this?
Well, that they're. I think you're right. It's humanizing them a little bit, and it's like even they're at because they show them at odds, right? And then it's like they're gonna die, and it's like, well, that who cares about that? Now there's maybe, like you said, there's something that she didn't want to die by herself, kind of thing. The thing that I find unrealistic, it's like, just kind of sit there with the seatbelt around you. It's like instead of being strapped into like the other crew is, like the captain and
they got their 5-point harness on.
Right. And actually, during this braking maneuver, yeah, they show it. For this scene goes on for a decent amount of time, and
Yeah.
they show that they're really going through the ringer here. And like one of the guys like is in the on the bridge or whatever. He like breaks loose. Now I think if that happened, he probably would have died. Is my guess.
Are you sure he breaks? Isn't that's in the final scene where they're escaping from
Oh,
Jupiter?
was it the final scene where that
Yeah,
happened?
yeah. And the guy breaks loose. I think. Yeah, he goes flying off.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
I think so. I think you put that.
Okay, I might be. I'm
No, you're right. Everybody's in their 5-point harness. They've got like a headrest, and they're all like leaning back, and they're all like shaking and looking like they're experiencing heavy G forces or something. And these guys are just sitting in their pods, like this. So it's a little bit
right.
But,
it's okay. It's a minor nitpick.
yeah, I took it as they're trying to show something human about what's going on.
Yeah. And so then at the end she just it's like, okay, she's out of there. She gives him a chaste kiss.
She gave him a kiss before she leaves.
Kind of like thanks, kind of thing.
Do you think Floyd told his wife about this little?
Probably not. And they do have Floyd is like sending messages back to his wife. He's dictating them. Kind of like, oh, we're going to do this again. A information dump for the audience, but that fits in nicely the way they do it. Okay, so they have arrived, and then they wake up. There's a scene where they wake up. The other two Americans, and they're also through the ringer because of the cryo sleep or whatever. And Floyd's bringing them up to speed, and it's like, okay, we need to talk. But they're there, so it's basically time. So we get, they find the discovery that is now it's spinning in space here. Oh, you know what? Something I forgot to mention early on. One of the points was that the Discovery's orbit was decaying. When the Russian guy came to see Floyd initially, and it was like that was the other thing that was like, yeah, there's a time frame on this. It's not just
Yeah, that's part of it. And why is it decaying? Because it shouldn't be decaying. Because
right, and because that took Floyd. He's like, what are you talking about? Why it's not because it had just happened suddenly. And anyway, so now they're out there, and so they're executing the plan, which is now it's time for Kurnow, who is John Lithgow, to they got to go over there and stabilize the ship and get it back to a orbit, a stable orbit and all that. So there's this whole scene where one of the Russian guys and Max is the cosmonaut. They're doing a spacewalk to get over to the Discovery. Again, it's literally spinning end over end in in space. And I think I don't think they mentioned it in here in the movie, but I think in the book they did. It was something having to do with the artificial gravity rotating thing on the Discovery is what broke down in some way, which then caused this to happen. But anyway, that's what's going on. So they're John Lithgow's character. He mentioned he's not an astronaut. He's an engineer, and he's never been on a spacewalk before because this was a short time frame between when they had the whole thing and when they left was like 4 months. So it wasn't like they had a ton of time for training.
Yeah.
So obviously he's
very nervous.
Right. He's like panicking the whole time. They get in the space airlock and everything and go out there. And they're, the Russian guy is just using like a propulsion device, to pull him over there, which again, I think is kind of unrealistic. That seems like it would be considered extremely dangerous to do by today's standards, at least. But
I saw that. I thought it was a little weird, but
yeah, but for the purpose of the movie, that's what they do. So they're tethered together, and he's just kind of dragging him over there. So they go aiming for the middle of the Discovery, that's moving less. And John Lithgow's character is just absolutely panicking and hyperventilating like the whole time. He's just like losing his crap. And the Russian guy is, pretty cool. And he's
an astronaut.
Right. And
I'm so glad Mr. Ditchkovich finally got to space, though.
Yeah. So they get
Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Same actor plays Mr. Ditchkovich, the Peter's living in that crappy apartment, and
Mhm.
across the hall, he's the jerk who.
Right.
Never mind.
So they do get over there, and the Discovery's like all covered in like sulfur dust. I guess from from the planet. I didn't remember that part, but it's covered in all this fine dust, and so they do get over there. They work their way to the end where they're able to get through one of the airlocks under the ship, which then they find that it's basically there is an atmosphere in there still, but it's cold, so it's things were kind of shut down. And they have this whole scene where the cosmonaut opens his mask, to see, because they were able to read, yeah, it's showing an atmosphere, and he opens it up, so, and the atmosphere is breathable, but then he starts freaking out because, again, John Lithgow was freaking out the whole time. Now it's Max's turn to freak out because he smells something that he thinks is, oh my god, this is the dead bodies, and they're like, no, Bowman left and the other guys were killed and ejected, so it turns out it's just spoiled food from the galley. But so it was a point where each of them had kind of, they bonded over this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So then they kind of have a jump again. It's the next time we see it, they've stabilized the Discovery, they got it back up and running online, and the power's on and everything, and they're able to go over there without spacesuits. And then they connect the two ships with this this lattice, I guess, this
Cool looking. Yeah.
It's like this kind of triangular framework that's connected by wires and things that they're able to travel back and forth through. So this is how Chandra, it goes over there. He basically just kind of steps on this thing, and it's like a transport, that goes between
just
them.
pulley almost. You just
Right.
stand on this thing, and it just moves across.
Yep. And then so Chandra is getting to work on reactivating Hal, and we have a scene with that where they show, oh wait a minute, am I forgetting something here? I guess the ships are connected now, and they're with this thing at least, and they're going around, and then there's a scene where the giant monolith is, it's between Jupiter and Io. And the captain decides that they want to send a manned pod down there. She's going to send Max down there to investigate what's going on. And they do. And, that Floyd's like, no, you should send an unmanned probe or whatever. She's like, no, we're sending him. And the guy's like,
Max
yeah, great.
wants to go.
Right. Max wants to go.
He's keen.
Right. And they do. And he's same kind of thing. Well, actually, you do see as he's approaching it, you see like all these starbursts or whatever in it, kind of like Dave did when he approached it. And then,
up something.
Yeah, and then there's again another energy burst that flies off, destroying the pod, kills him, kills Max, and it's like, oh, that's bad. And then you want to talk about what happened with the energy burst? I got
it goes flying off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Towards the moon,
right? Towards Earth.
Towards Earth.
And then we have this whole scene with on Earth.
Yeah. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, I need to rest my voice for a minute here. So
yeah. So we have then this is where you get a little bit of weirdness. You've got Bowman, the pilot from 2001. He appears through his former wife's television set and says goodbye. Tells her that something wonderful is going to happen, and he also visits his comatose mother in the hospital. She's comatose. They have a scene where they talk about her before. She's been a couple months. She's basically been in a coma. They do this. They turn her. They do this. She's shown no signs of life, that sort of thing. She just wakes up, seems to be aware of his presence. And then the hairbrush brushes her hair by itself. We don't see anybody doing it. And then he departs, and she dies peacefully holding the hairbrush. the nurse comes in and goes, "How did she get that hairbrush? She's been comatose for months." And, yeah, so it seems that it's kind of suggesting that Bowman is some sort of he's incorporated with with something, and he is the one and who's sending. Visiting things. The thing that is telling, we're going to see in a minute, telling people that something wonderful is going to happen. Visiting before that thing happens while he still can. I think there's a part where he says, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, something about how he's not Bowman, but he is something that contains part of Bowman.
Yeah, he says he includes everything that Dave Bowman ever was.
Yeah, so he's not Bowman, but somehow his consciousness, perhaps personality, something has been incorporated into something else. Yeah, So this kind of gets towards the movie's been pretty grounded so far in reality, and it's been like a basic space movie. Right. But now we're getting into the sort of the something wonderful, the weird sort of 2001 vibes a little bit. That we haven't seen.
Right. Now, you mentioned that Dave also visited his wife?
Yeah. I mentioned his wife and his mother.
Mother, yeah. Yeah, the scene. I wonder,
Dave, I don't have a picture of that, but Clark and Kubrick appear on the magazine cover that the nurse is reading. She's reading, and one of them is one is the president of United States. The other is the Soviet premier.
So was the president of the United States sitting on the bench out there?
Yeah, basically. I think Clark is the president on the Time magazine, and Kubrick is the Soviet premier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, are we going to go ahead?
Yeah. I would. Yeah, I can. Let's see.
Well, basically, next part is Chandra.
Yeah, right. We have the scene with Chandra. Again, when Dave was deactivating Hal, he was like in this compartment, where all those memory things were or whatever. And, Chandra's in there like typing different things, and, he's putting this stuff back in, trying to get Hal to react. And he started, his voice is real, like, digitized and everything. And then, over the course of the scene, Hal, his voice is coming back to normal. So indicating that, he's being reactivated. So then they're on the Discovery at this point. Let's see. It was the three Americans and
one of
was
the Russians.
Their science officer guy, I think, the one that was running the probe and had been talking about the report and everything when Floyd was first up. And so they're over there they're in the pod bay. And you know what? For the life of me, I have no idea why there's gravity in the pod bay. Because we see the doors for the pods, which are not in the rotating section, but there's gravity in there. So that's something that either I don't understand or I don't remember. Anyway, so they're in the pod bay, which we saw a lot in 2001. And we don't see that. We actually don't in the movie. We don't see the rotating section, do we, of the Discovery? We see the bridge. And we see the hallway and we see the pod bay, but I don't think we see the thing where Dave and Frank were exercising and where the other guys. I don't think we see that. So I guess they didn't recreate it.
Well, there's a in some of the notes here. It says that Kubrick from 2001 destroyed every model because he didn't want it to be reused again. So the stuff that they actually painstakingly put all this stuff together from, stills. So they, and it's not quite exactly the same. It's a little wider, and the color, the lighting is a little bit better, more blue white or something like that. But I guess they tried to minimize what they had to put together since they didn't have any models for it. So.
Right. There's a channel called Space Doc that has a feature on the Discovery. I wish I would remember that to review it. About it's basically like, it's a documentary on the spaceship, kind of thing, is the idea of it. Any case, So they're in the pod bay here, and this is Chandra is talking to Hal. They're going back and forth on this, and at one point he's like, "Oh, Hal, we'd like to have a private conversation." And Hal's like, "Okay," and he kind of turns off or whatever. Now, famously, in the first movie, we saw that Dave and Frank faked a situation to go into the pod to be checking something where they intentionally to not be observed by Hal, and had this whole conversation in which Hal clandestinely read their lips and found out that they were planning on deactivating him, which is what led to Hal doing what he did. And here, so we're seeing Chandra just being like, "Oh yeah, Hal, I want to talk privately," and just trusting him, right? So now the other characters don't know that, presumably what happened, and I don't even know if Chandra knows that.
No,
but
nobody knows. Yeah.
I thought that was a very interesting, contrast they added into this movie, in the same location, in the pod bay also.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to, make us go, what the? But now, then we find out that Chandra has erased everything about from before that, before these accidents have happened. So Hal doesn't remember anything, which is, I thought it was kind of strange because, they're supposed to, part of the reason they're supposed to go back here is to use Hal to find out what happened, right?
Yeah, so but they mentioned Frank. He was deactivated before. He mentions that he was deactivated before they got there, so he didn't have any information on that.
Does he?
But they have this discussion about, it's like, well, how could you? Because I think it's the Russian guy or something. He's like, how could you do that? They have this kind of memory or whatever that you can't just erase it. They'd be aware of that. And he's like, I used some kind of worm. So it basically kind of went in and sliced out these bits and pieces.
Yeah. And we also find out that the reason that Hal has gone paranoid is because there was a conflict in his basic programming. The humans, the White House or somebody back on Earth, without Floyd's knowledge.
Chandra's way more blunt about it. He says, "It's your fault." It tells Floyd, "It's your fault." Flat out.
Yeah.
But then he explains it. So I'm sorry, that's what you were going to talk about.
There. Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. So he explains that he got conflict. He's got a conflict in his basic programming. He was told not to tell the humans about. They basically gave him a secret mission, in some sense, and don't tell the humans this. And this supposedly causes the paranoia, and Hal's breakdown, and why he had to murder them, because they were going against the mission, which of course they didn't know, because they didn't know that there's some other mission going on. Yeah.
Right.
What do you think about that? That makes sense to you?
Yes. It does. And again, it's one of these things. And this is the terrifying part, right? It's like, Hal couldn't resolve that, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, well, yeah, we can't endanger the mission, but so I'm just going to kill these guys. It's like there was nothing that was like, well, you can't kill these guys, so there's got to be something else. It's like no one thought to put in the basic safeguards for that, which again, why I think AI is terrifying, because it is out in the wild and people are not by any appearance putting in safeguards. That's no.
Maybe about, hey, I've got this conflict in my programming. Can you verify it? If you get a conflict, then you got to go ask for, that could be a fail safe, right?
Right. Now, what this scene does, Weatherman, again, and when I was watching this, I'm totally on Hal's side, right? I'm like, it's like, it's because Hal's the villain, right? To some degree in 2001.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Yeah. And now we find out, no, it was, it wasn't his fault. And again, sitting here going, oh yeah, of course a computer couldn't do that. It's, Alan Kelly made happy accidents. Yes. And so again, you kind of get this whole thing with, Chandra. Oh, you know what? You see they have these red shoes on in there. Are these supposed to be magnetic shoes? Is that, maybe that's it in the pod bay. I remember seeing that when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, they're wearing these shoes. What's that about? And it didn't occur to me that maybe this is just magnetic is the way that they're dealing with it here. Anyway, this is a huge part of the whole two movies, right? Why
Finally,
Hal,
what's the deal with Hal?
right? And so and again, Chandler's very accusatory towards Floyd, and Floyd kind of takes it fairly well. He's like, "What are you talking about me?" And he explains it, and he's just like, "Oh." But I think he said, "No, I didn't do that." This came from somewhere else. Meaning the thing that caused that was not my doing. So it's kind of absolving Floyd here too of blame, because that's not really what the movie's really about. Is blame. The backdrop of this political crisis is really the villain, kind of at this point, and just the reality of what is going on with them out here in space too. So it kind of moves it from, oh, Hal is a crazy machine who kills people, or someone caused him to do it. Well, I guess someone did cause him to do it, but they're remote to the thing, or tied up with the political situation.
Yeah. Let's we will mention one other thing that Floyd talks to Lithgow earlier. We didn't mention that. Lithgow earlier. He tells him to go put this little device here on this main line, which will cut Hal off if he's got a red calculator. And if he uses the red calculator, and punches in a certain code, it'll sever the line to Hal, and just in case. And they don't tell Chandler about it.
Right. Because they know Chandler is a kook, right? Who's in love with computers and all this stuff.
With his little computer thing.
Yeah. And Colonel was like, sure, I'll do it. I like the sneak. He's like, I like the sneakiness of it or whatever.
So I'll just mention that. It's just a sideline.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say that, but I'm glad you did. So he does that. And then now we get to the point where things are coming to a head on Earth. They get this message from they show like the message coming from both the Russian guy and the American, the counterpart. And we just hear the Russian is speaking in the background. Obviously, I can't understand that, but the American guy is basically like, yeah, they're ready to start slinging missiles at each other, and they order them to leave. Basically, the Discovery is operational, and they've, Hal, working with Hal and everything, they've determined they can get home, on a certain course. It's like a slow boat kind of thing, but they have enough fuel to, a launch window that's like in a month or something, and they can get home, and they're to do that. And, basically they're saying the mission's over with the Russians, and the Russians get a similar thing. So they basically go to their own ships,
respective ships. Yeah.
Right. And so they're also told not to even communicate with each other unless it's an emergency, kind of thing. Right. And so they're aboard the Discovery, and then, so Floyd is sitting on the bridge, and Hal's, saying, oh, kind of just, he's like, hey, you want to play some chess? And he's like, no, that sounds great, but no thanks, And then he's like, there's a message for you. And he's like, who's it from? And he's like, there's no, the sender is undetermined or something like that. Anyway, so Hal tells him this whole, he's getting this message, and then he says, you have to leave in 2 days. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, tell Colonel to stop messing around. It's not funny, whatever. And Hal's like, it's not from him. And he's like, it's kind of this back and forth with Hal. And, what now? If I was Floyd, I'd be like, Hal is losing it again here. That would be my first thought.
That's what we think.
Right. And then at some point, the message, again, Hal's just relaying this message. And then he's like, something like, oh, you have to believe us or something. And he's like, look behind you. And he turns around, and there's Dave Bowman, the commander of the Discovery, in his orange spacesuit. He doesn't have the helmet on though. He's like, he like walks down, there's like a hallway, from, they go. And so he's kind of walking, he follows him.
Yeah.
Right. Into the pod bay. And like, he sees him go in, Dave goes in there, and then Floyd comes in and then turns the corner, and, he's now Dave is in one of his other forms, one of the old man forms,
The old man form, yeah.
like the black, wearing the black stuff, the black outfit. Because again, these are the forms we saw when Dave went into the monolith in the first movie. And then, you know, so he's talking to him about this, and Dave's like, yeah, you got to go, you know, and he's being very nebulous about what it is, but he's urging them, you have to leave within 2 days. And he's like, we can't, you know, what are you talking about there? You know, we don't have fuel. And he's, you know, so, and Dave said something like, you know, this is the last, you know, I was allowed to give you this warning or something like that.
Yeah, I won't be talking to you again. I was allowed to give you this warning.
Right. And he said something, though, it's after there might be another message or something.
And they keep going, you know, he's like, you know, what's, you know, it's the usual, he keeps asking what's going to happen. And it's something wonderful.
Right. Yeah. That brings up a funny anecdote from my life that I will not tell you about, having to do with 2001, for interest of time. I'll tell you after the show. Anyway, so they go to, you know, Floyd decides, okay, he believes this now. I mean, obviously, he's just seen this apparition, which isn't possible. And I don't remember if
it just disappears.
Yeah,
and he kind of, you know, he's like,
well, no, he turns. You see the Star Child at one point. He goes through. You see him as the astronaut, and then the old guy, and then the super old guy, and then the Star Child.
Super old guy in white. Yeah, he sees everything, and then but it just disappears out of the pod bay. So he's like, you know, you could see that he'd be like, did that really happen? Did I make that up? There was no like a pop and he disappeared. He just wasn't there. Like it's just, you know, it's a little bizarre, right?
Right. And I don't think
your sanity. Did I make this up? No, I didn't make it up.
Right.
Wait, though.
And I don't think we have a scene where he discusses this with the other Americans, right? He just goes.
No, he doesn't.
That's like you hear a voiceover like him communicating with the captain, the Russian captain, and he's like, I'm coming over, you know. Oh, and earlier we had shown they had, you know, the thing that was connecting them. They showed them as part of this whole thing with the Cold War, you know, them disconnecting that and just abandoning it. You know, it was like they're not even connected with that. Yeah. So he spacewalks over there or whatever. And so then they had this whole scene where he's talking to that, you know, he's like, hey, this is, you know, this thing's going to happen. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he, you know, shows this plan where they have the pen, right? You know, that he's showing. His plan is that they're gonna hook the two ships together and then use the Discovery to, because the Russian ship can't leave at this point either. It's got a different launch window, I think.
Well, about the same launch window.
It's later, but it's not going on the same course as, because the Discovery is on a slow course, and the you know, and the Leonov is going to would get back earlier. But he shows this thing, and they have this scene that's, you know, kind of memorable, where he's, you know, placing this pen in the air, you know, that floats there. But this is where the gravity is. But it's like, well, it's not really gravity though. So I think this is correct. Because it's apparent gravity due to rotation. It's not. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whatever.
No. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
But I don't think that matters. I mean, the point is that he has a plan to they can leave immediately, like within the 2-day window, using the Discovery as a booster, basically using all its fuel. They're going to boost the other ship, and then that ship can make it back. Even though it's leaving, but they would improper launch window.
Right, but they would all have to be on the Leonov, because the Discovery won't make it back. They, you know, basically they can't carry the Discovery. They don't have enough fuel to carry the extra mass of the Discovery, so they all have to be on the Leonov. And so they're acting against their government's orders at this point, both of them. And she agrees that you know, he convinced her in some way.
He convinced her somehow.
So now they got to get Hal to buy into this, right? Oh, and there's also this whole thing. So this black spot, you know, they cut off communication. They weren't telling Earth what was going on, and like the guy Milson is like, what's going on? You haven't responded, and da 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 da. And he's like, oh, by the way, we've picked up this spot on Jupiter find out what's going on and get back to me.
And he starts to he ignores him.
Right. And so, but they do find there's this black spot that's appeared on Jupiter. And
so,
it's
sorry, Cam, just a little addition. While the two of them are arguing about whether they should do Floyd's plan, the monolith just disappears, right? And that's the whole thing. They're like, what? That's kind of
right.
Like, holy crap, where'd the monolith go? Uh-oh, that might be bad.
Right. So right. Oh, right. Okay. So that's what put it over
and
the
that's
edge.
when the spot starts appearing on Jupiter.
Right.
We assume the monolith goes down or does something that starts
So and there's this is kind of a quick montage that happens here. It's like they're putting this together, this plan that they're now enacting against their respective government's wishes, and then you have this other thing, so now this black spot is growing, and then they at one point they ask Hal, they're like, what is it? And he's like, it's all of these objects, what was it like? It was a huge number of them, right?
1 million of them, and they're expanding exponentially.
They're multiplying, right? And it's all these monoliths. They ask what it is. It's like, oh, it's these objects with 1 by 4 by 9, whatever. And they're like, so they're just like you said, expanding this huge black spot on the planet. So they're racing against time here,
because they think something's bad is going to happen. Something's going to happen.
And so everybody else is on the Leonov at this point, and Chandra is in his spacesuit over on the Discovery talking to Hal. They have this whole thing where it's like, okay, well, Hal has to do this, or whatever. And it's like, well, what if he doesn't want to do it? And they're like, well, again, you mentioned this whole thing about, well, just tell it to do it, and this whole thing about.
That's what Floyd says. Tell him to do it. But Chandra's like, well, we can't just tell him what to do. We got to convince. Like, that's how he acts. Like, you got to convince him.
Well, yeah, and
disturbing.
There was another scene that we kind of mentioned it, but a little bit of a detail is when they were talking to Hal. Hal was like, "Oh, was the mission successful?" Kind of thing. Where this is when Chandra had erased his memory because, he's like, "Oh, where's Dave and Paul and Frank?" And they're like, "Oh, they're they make an excuse. He's not aware they're dead."
Yeah.
Or anybody's dead. So they're lying to him, throughout this whole thing. And Chandra is not, he's like, lying to him is a bad idea, basically. And that's why they had this whole scene. It's like, you lied to him before and you see what happened, And so now there's this scene, it's like they're in a very tight race against time. Their window for this new launch that they've calculated, where to do it and everything is coming. And Chandra's over there, sitting there talking to Hal, and he's like, "Oh, we got to do this," and he's lying to him. He's like, "Oh, we got to do this, and we're gonna, you'll be, you're gonna go here, and then what did he say? That you're gonna rendezvous with the new space station that he just made up." He's like, the new space station that went online 2 years ago. That's where you'll end up, and because Hal's like, what Hal, again, they're trying to fool him, and Hal's just. He's too smart. He's like, no, that's not going to work. You can't, we don't have enough fuel to do this. And it's like, so, and again, Chandra's not a astrogator or whatever. So he's like trying to make up these lies on the fly and all this. And it's this, in my opinion, this is an excellent scene. There's this very tense scene of where Chandra, he wants to tell Hal the truth, and he's lying he's like forced to be lying to him because he doesn't know what he's going to do either. And it's this back and forth. And Hal is like, he's not showing any signs of hostility, but he's showing signs of like doubt. It's like he
doesn't make logical sense.
Right. It's not.
I mean, you've got this picture is basically what you're describing. I mean, you've got this giant hole in Jupiter, black hole that's being sucked in, right? And they're like obviously something's going to happen. That can't be good. We got to get out of here now. And they've got the countdown. Only Hal can do the countdown because it's got to be within tens of microseconds or milliseconds or something. And, you're right. Like Hal's going like, wow, we should stay in, shouldn't we stay and observe this phenomenon?
Right. The like, countdown's going on. He's like, shouldn't I stop the countdown? Shouldn't, and
check out what this thing's going on Jupiter. This is really weird.
Right. And he keeps on saying, no, Hal, he's like, don't stop the countdown. But Hal keeps coming back to it. He's like, you sure you don't want me to stop the countdown? Because again,
I really think we should stop the countdown.
Right.
Dr. Chandra.
Right. Just real quick. Yeah, Weatherman, that's right. Centrifugal force instead of gravity. And only Hal can do the controlled burn. Yes. And so I think that scene is really well done, because it's not like, oh, we got a few hours. It's like minutes,
Yeah, they basically start about like 12 minutes down, and then it's like 5 minutes, and he's like, maybe we should stop the countdown, Doctor. Like, no, keep going to the countdown.
Well,
and Floyd's fingering his red calculator.
Right, and at one point,
press the button.
Floyd tells him, he's like, get on the headset, so Hal can, and he's like, tell him to do it. Get over here, and
get out of here.
Right.
And
Look at the
planet. Something bad's going to happen. We better leave.
Right. And then Chandra is just like, no, it's not. He just dumps the whole truth on Hal. He's like, no, you're not going to make it back. We have to do it this way. We won't survive without it. Da 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 da. And Hal's just like, thank you for telling me the truth. And then he's like, do you want me to stay with you? Chandra's like, you want me to stay with you, Hal? And he's serious too. It's like he would. I mean, there's no doubt in me watching this that he would have stayed with them, and died.
I think so, because earlier they asked, they're discussing it on the other ship, and Lithgow says, if it's between Hal and us, I pick us, right? Anybody else? And then, but notice Chandra doesn't say anything. Like he doesn't.
Right.
It's obvious everybody else agrees, but he doesn't say anything. But
yeah, and this is very well acted between these guys, right? They all have their own kind of, Lithgow is kind of a no nonsense kind of guy, and of course Floyd is kind of got the big picture in his mind, and Chandra is like this weirdo, with the computer thing, but they're all played very believably, right? It's not like they're not cartoony in any way. And I like it. Oh, that was the other thing too. The one scene where the message was coming from Earth, and the guy, he's like, yeah, you asked us for the specifications about how much torsion this thing could take or whatever. And it's like, we're sending that information. What the hell are you talking about?
Why do you need that information?
Right. And it was about where the clamp was on the Discovery,
where they're going to clamp on and how they're going to do it. Yeah.
Right. And, it's like, well, why would there be a clamp there? It's like, well, because that was probably the original plan to connect with the Discovery, or something, they were going out there. They didn't know exactly what was going to happen and how they would have to do X, Y, or Z. But so that's neither here nor there, but I really liked it. Yeah, PB, you're mentioning that it looks like the Babylon 5 ship. Yeah, it does a lot. Especially, the rotating section is very much very similar. So again, there's this whole countdown, and then so he's like, no, you should, basically save yourself. And so then there's this, scene where, Chandra's like running essentially to get over back to
they pull him across. He barely makes it.
Right. Yeah. They literally, the thing, like he's on a like a pulley or whatever. And I mean, this was like, it was like, I think he left at like 3 minutes or something. It's like, that's again a little optimistic in terms of spacewalking, maybe, but
I think so too. But
it was, a good tense portrayal. So then, they're all back on the ship, and Chandra, he's like out of a spacesuit or whatever, and they're like walking through there, and he's like, does this happen after the burn or before?
I think it was before, but
which again, the time wouldn't work out there, or maybe it's during the burn, actually.
During the burn, yeah.
And so he it's like, he's like, oh yeah, here's your thing, like the cutoff thing that, he's like, it wasn't hard to find, so, that was kind of like, and they're like, okay, worked out well in the end, I guess. But, and so then how they show Hal doing the burn or whatever, where they're rocketing away.
Yeah.
And then, they separate. I'm sorry.
Well, also remember, Bowman asks Hal's got his antenna trained he's on the spot. He's following what's going on there. And then Bowman asks Hal to, transmit a message to Earth. And
well, yeah, specifically
says, no, I should do this, and Bowman says, no, do what I tell you.
There's another little thing here where it's the AE-35 unit, which is their communication dish, basically, which is the thing that failed, that Hal faked failing, which had, it was part of his whole plot. And then, oddly enough, Dave's asking him to use that thing, which was the device that he used to kill Frank with and everything. So anyway, he tells Hal, don't worry about that now. You need to send this message instead. And he complies, because he said, oh, I'm happy to be working with you again, Dave. Because again, as far as he knew, Dave was still alive. And so, again, they take off, they separate, and do they show them doing the burn from the Leonov? I think they do, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. Because they're on the burn, they're trying to get away from Jupiter.
Right. So, and now it's being completely engulfed in in the monoliths now. And it goes dark, I think, completely dark, right? At some point.
Then explodes.
And it's compressing it. It's compressing Jupiter. That's what the whole thing's doing. And then it ignites, it causes a fusion reaction, and then it becomes a star. Yep. A small star. And then the message they send, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's the message is, all these worlds are yours except Europa. Attempt no landing there. Use them together. Use them in peace. So that's what's sent to Earth. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
The Leonov survives the shockwave, heads towards home. Basically the end of the message. Everybody sees this star come out. Floyd is narrating. He basically says, everyone sees this star. They all stand down. I mean, that would pretty much freak you out. Like, you'd be sitting there thinking, yeah, who cares about Honduras? And he goes, shit. Maybe a star just came out of nowhere.
He narrates this. It's he's talking to his kid. He's sending a message to his kid, and he talks about, you're going to remember when it got dark. Implying that it will never be dark again, or at least not completely dark, because the new star that will be there, and so it leaves on this kind of hopeful note.
And the movie. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, go ahead with the last scene. You're sure?
Yeah, the last scene. Basically, this is the last scene right here. This is a monolith on Europa, and Europa is some sort of jungle-ish, tropical type planet now. The ice is melted, and it's. I mean, we don't see it. I don't think we see any animal life, but there's obviously plant life. That is
right. Yeah, implying that again, the monolith will be in some way guiding things.
Yeah, life on Europa.
Right.
I assume it's the Jupiter is what's warming up the planet much
right.
faster.
Yeah. Now the physics of that and how that would work, again, Jupiter is very large compared to us, but I don't know how long something like that would last.
Well, don't people don't astronomers say that Jupiter is a failed star that failed to ignite?
I've heard things like that.
Ours could have been a binary system. Yeah, Jupiter and Jupiter's Jupiter is shown to be a white star as opposed to a yellow sun in the movie.
Yeah, I'm just saying Jupiter's mass, as large as it is compared to the rest of the planets, is still peanuts compared to the sun.
Yeah, it would be a very small sun for sure.
Right. And there we have it.
Yeah, and that's basically and everybody's happy. Peace reigns supreme. Humans no longer fight because we've seen that there's some other power in the universe that is way, way more powerful than us. Yeah.
So what'd you think? What's your overall? I've already kind of spoiled it for me, but
yeah. So what? Okay, what about the difference? Tell me what you think about the difference between this movie versus the first one. How do you like them comparatively?
Well, I like them both. I think 2000, for many years, I listed 2001 as my favorite movie, largely because of I was interested in filmmaking craft quite a lot at the time and consider it to be brilliant, in many ways.
Yeah.
And I still rank it very highly, in my list of movies. Thank you, Dave. So I like it a lot, but it was obviously way more trippy, way more nebulous. It's like, what does the ending mean? Who knows? Kubrick's a weirdo, and who knows what he meant or didn't mean. I've watched, in the last couple of years, I've watched a lot of, not a lot, but some commentaries and like, oh, it means this or that, and different perspective. But again, this is someone pulling that out of their ass and their opinions. I'm not saying it's not interesting, but I don't know what he meant with it, this or that. And again, it was this very weird combination of 2001, between Kubrick and Clark. It was kind of a joint effort.
Yeah.
I want to say it's more Kubrick in the end, even though it was based on a story by Clark. It came way before it. It was very different. But this movie, 2010, was very more conventional, right? It had a beginning, middle, and end, happy ending, conflict, all these different things. But like we said, it's got all these elements. And in my opinion, compared to a lot of movie making or storytelling of today, it's very, like I said earlier, effective and efficient. Lot of stuff packed into it. It's again, having a movie with a beginning, middle, and end that had good characters and characterizations and motivations. And the backdrop, of the Cold War and everything. It was relevant to the time, which I think might be something if a kid of 20 years old or something today that saw this, they'd be like, this is stupid. This doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Maybe, maybe it would. I don't know. As far as the backdrop goes, I mean. But, so very different movies, but I think they do merge together nicely. Like, we were talking the Forbin Project, and such, and the a lot of times sci-fi have sequels that really have no relationship to each other. Really, it's just like, oh, I had this other dumb idea and I'm going to tack it onto this one and say it's a sequel. This one did not feel like that. But well, there is a sequel to this too. In novel form, in the novels, which is a whole nother story. But
2060, I think, or 2030,
20, I think it's 2061 and then 3001.
Oh, okay.
As I recall.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Good movie, and you're right about it jumps right in there and it gets things going. 2001 is often said to be, like you said, a masterpiece, but it's a little bit confusing. And you're like, what the hell's going on? And what's this something wonderful that's going to happen? And who are these guys? And why is this guy old? And what the heck is going on? So this is much more, I'd say that this movie is much more accessible. I enjoyed it. The critics, they didn't pan it, but basically at the time, the critics are like, well, not as good as 2001. That was such a great, movie. But again, I think for a normal audience member, this movie is much more, like I said, accessible. You've got, like you said, a beginning, middle, and end. What's going on. There's a little bit of weird stuff in there, with, which references the first movie, but it makes sense and it's kind of explained. Not everything is explained, but you at least get a better sense of what's going on. I didn't have any problem with the expedition dumps. Sometimes they're done, in movies, they're done very poorly, and I think this is a great expedition dumps. This, you should watch this movie if you want to see how to do a good put some good exposition in your movie. So I quite enjoyed the movie. The pacing was much like 2001. It's pretty slow pacing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got this, he's flying from Earth to not to the space station. Is it from the space station? Anyway, there's these. I mean, there's very cool scenes. It's 1967, and he's doing these, 67, 68, and he's doing these very cool scenes of, the waitress walking on the, on the floor, going to different, but there's a lot of slow, right? It's very, very slow in certain parts, right? What's going on? This guy's taking forever to get to the stuff, and like I said, showing cool stuff, but very slow. And this movie's great, much better pacing, in my view. It's more like a normal film. That's some weird, trippy art project. The first film.
Right. Yeah, well, 2001 is it's got like these three distinct sections, right? The beginning with the apes and everything, and the middle with the astronaut, and then the whole monolith acid trip.
And it fits. And I said, I recently, a couple of years ago, but I watched 2001 again, and I was my appreciation for that middle section is much greater after I watched it again, because normally when you think of 2001, you remember the monkeys at the beginning, and then don't do that, Dave. I can't. Hal talking, and you forget the whole middle section, right? Like that's not what anybody memes on or whatever, right?
Well, actually, I love the middle section. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd say I could watch that again and again, and skip over some of the other stuff.
Yeah, but it's not the thing that you normally think of, right? Because that's not.
I think what point
that everybody memes or that sticks in your consciousness.
Well, what point do you call the middle section? Where do you end the middle section?
The middle section being the part where he goes up to the ship. He's on the he goes to the moon to talk about.
Okay. Well, the middle section for me would be starting with where the monkey throws the bone in the air, and ending with Dave entering the monolith. Because I think the most memorable parts are open the pod bay doors, Hal, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just describing different things here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Well, I'm thinking when you're looking at you're dividing to three. I'm saying the monkeys, and then the traveling to the moon, all that. He meets the Soviets on the space station, all that aspect of it. Up until we got they're looking at the monolith, and then going to Jupiter. But all right, it doesn't really matter. This movie demands that you pay attention to follow the story. As soon as the audience is interested and has an attention span, yeah, it does. And you do have to pay attention. It does help if you've seen the 2001. Yeah, Dave agrees. Much more accessible to the masses. I agree. A little bit about Hyman's was a little scared to do it. He didn't want to do it, but so he asked Kubrick's permission, and Kubrick said, "Yeah, do whatever you want. I don't give a damn. I don't care what you do."
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. He says, okay, let me just. He says Hyman's contacted Clark and Kubrick for their blessings. I had a long conversation with Stanley and told him what was going on. If it met with his approval, I would do the film, and if it didn't, I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't not have thought of doing the film if I had not gotten the blessing of Kubrick. He's one of my idols, the best talents that ever walked on Earth. He said more or less, "Sure, go do it. I don't care." Another time he said, "Don't be afraid. Just go do your own movie." So yeah, Kubrick didn't care. So yeah, he did it. I mean, is this better than the first one?
No. Again, because 2001 is kind of a masterpiece, but I would say though, this is a very solid movie. Like I said, conventional, but Dave, that's a good point. Yeah, Floyd did. That was actually in the movie, right? He was on the space station. Or was it when he was on? Yeah, it was a space station. Anyway, this is a much more conventional movie, and it's. I don't know that anyone would say this was a brilliant movie, but it is a workmanship kind of movie that does what movies are supposed to do. It tells a great story. Oh, wait a minute. He's the director of Capricorn 1? We were just talking about Capricorn 1. I forgot about that.
So we've already done Outland.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually, we were talking about our next movie night, and we were talking about maybe Capricorn 1.
That is hilarious.
Which is on my Cam suggested, and it's also on my list of movies. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, I like that I get a little more information to get some solving of what's going on, and not this weird acid trip, something wonderful. But
it's more satisfying. I mean, overall, I mean,
to get this movie right, like you can't. They wouldn't have anything to solve in this movie if it went for the first movie. So
right, yeah, right. This movie is completely dependent on, has no meaning without the other. Well, I don't know. Could you have made a movie like this? It's about the Cold War thing, and yeah, maybe you could. I guess imagine that 2001 didn't exist, and you just built this up within this movie.
Well, you could, but you wouldn't have hit as hard because
it would lack the important context, the philosophical kind of end of things.
Yeah. You've seen this first movie, and now you've waited 15 years, and finally you're seeing, well, what the hell is, I'm going to finally find out maybe what's going on. What was this something wonderful that was going to happen? Where did this guy go? Why is he old and then a baby and then, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Okay. So let's deal with this. So let's see. It was 15, 16 years between 2001 and 2010. And between 2010 and now is 42 years. So 3 times. Wow. Old. Feel old.
I was
Movie Eddie here is dropping some facts. 70 millimeter film. I remember that. It did. And the movie looks great today.
Yeah, I was surprised at how great it looks. Like the special effects look awesome. I love the look of the spaceships. I mean, it's got that 70s sort of somewhat retro white walls and 79 aliens look feel to it. But I think it fits. I don't have it doesn't feel like it's so outdated to me anyway. But
so basically, we need to get Peter Hyams on the show. 82 years old. Because clearly we're huge fans.
Yeah, well, yeah. Maybe we should
work on that way.
All right. We'll get Jeff to do it for us. He's good with bringing people.
Weatherman is dropping the facts here too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought that Jupiter is a star that failed to ignite, basically. So technically, if you could do something. I'm not a astrophysicist. I don't know what you'd have to do, but
well, I think
you could do something to ignite it. I'm sure if you put enough of something in there.
So, saying it's failed would imply that it had all the makings. I guess this is one half of another. It was on its way, maybe, to becoming, having the potential to be.
But it just didn't get what it needed.
Yeah, right. PB brings up, so it mentions, kind of the comparison between 2001 or the parallel 2001 Alien to 2010 and Aliens. Yeah, I think that's a good point. It is. Yeah. I'd say that Alien, there's more of both 2001 and 2010 are a little bit more philosophical than Alien and Aliens.
They're not. Alien is a sci-fi horror, and then Aliens would be sci-fi action.
Yeah, military action kind of thing. But the comparison still holds, though.
Yeah, I think so too.
But both
in different ways, but
in my opinion, both movies that had excellent sequels, which are
rare.
Yeah, right, right.
And I think that you can there's some arguing based on is it Alien or Aliens better movie? It kind of depends on where you sit. You can have that argument.
Uh-huh.
I think you can have that argument about these two movies as well. Though most people are going to go with Kubrick because Stanley Kubrick.
PB was saying, it says science fusion reaction needs either heat or pressure. Right? Yeah, I guess that's true. But if you were to compress Jupiter, it would also generate immense heat. If there was some way to actually do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just do it with a monolith. There you go.
Okay, wait a minute. It's more important. Okay, so 10 billion years. White dwarf.
So we might have our soul might go out before in this world. It might go out before the Europa, and the Earth might freeze over, and no one will be living on Earth, but something will be living on Europa past that.
Yeah. Hey, Aldous stopped by here to compliment the movie. Thanks for coming by, Aldous.
Yeah, you like Peter Hyman's too.
Yeah.
Alien, Outland, some say are in the same time frame.
Yeah. When we reviewed, I remember there was someone talking about that. It's, like the company. They mentioned it could be the same.
Yeah.
Some have said that too. Yeah. So I would say this is a successful movie night, at least from my perspective. I thought this is a great movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Really enjoyed it again, So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to give it a rating?
Sure.
We're gonna end off the show here pretty soon. So
yeah. I mean 1 to 10 kind of thing.
Sure. However you want to do it.
I guess I'd give this about a 9.
9, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty high. I'd say around an 8.
Well, I mean, I'm if I didn't really think about rating it necessarily in that form,
Yeah,
but I'm like, what do I have to criticize? I'm not sure that I mentioned much of a criticism at all, other than the arrow breaking thing.
It's a couple of nitpicks.
Yeah, that's about all I got is nitpicks.
The two of them in the sleeping area, not strapped in better.
But again, like you mentioned, it served a purpose, though, right? It wasn't just like, oh, we're throwing this, like some kind of they're a weird romance thing. No, it's
maybe the ship should be a little smaller. It's a little bit big, but like I said, these are really, really this is the picking the the fly crap out of the pepper type of thing.
Yeah. PB, no, I haven't seen that.
Have I seen Arrival 2016? Oh yeah, I saw it. Is that the one with Arrival? It's called Arrival, but you don't mean Arrival 2016. You mean the movie Arrival that was made in 2016. Yeah, it's got a little time travel in it. It's got what's her name? The red-haired Superman's girlfriend.
Oh, Amy Adams.
Amy Adams and what's his name's in there too?
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the page here.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it once or twice. It's not a bad movie. It's more about it's about aliens. Cam, you've never seen it.
I don't think so.
Contact. Contacting aliens and talking with them and stuff. How to communicating. Well, there's time travel. Well, remember the aliens in Arrival don't view time linearly, or they don't live linear or something. Can't remember. Remember, some of the things happening are things that happen in the future. There's Amy Adams. So yeah, everything's not happening normally per se. So yeah. The alien language allows you to perceive time non-linearly. Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I go see it. Better than this movie? I don't know. That's good though. Cam, can you handle the show for a second?
Sure.
My daughter was at work, and I think she's just come home, and there are people hammering on the door, trying to get into the house. I don't know why they locked themselves out before they went.
Yeah. Go.
I'll go and find out. So
okay.
I can't take this hammering anymore.
Okay.
Wait. Is somebody? I'm going to open the door.
Why don't you go check just to make sure? I don't want to hear
other people in this house. I just find it humorous. Everyone knows I'm doing this, and they're hammering on doors, and I'm like, there should be somebody that should open that door. That's someone else here. That okay, I hear a door closing, so obviously it's been opening. Crisis averted.
Okay.
Never mind. I won't bother to go up. The aliens don't time travel. Their language allows you to see time non-linear. You can see the past, present, and future. No time travel.
Spoilers.
Okay. All right. I will. You're right. They don't time travel. You're right. I could
Yeah,
see.
snob.
But I'm just saying that there is aspects of, you're seeing things in the movie. You see things that are happening. You're like, is that happening now? And is it later? Or yeah. Problem with time travel and alternate realities, if you don't do this well, it becomes bad quickly. Yeah, it's tough. Good time travel is very difficult to do. Yeah. Okay. That's it, Cam? We're good to go?
Yeah, just one quick last thing. This is like, well, let me put it in a question. Is this like one of the better examples of a real sci-fi movie in terms of our criteria?
Well, for me, it's the last bubble that always gets you, right? It's the
Commentary about
looking at the moral,
mission?
or I mean,
I think that's abundant in this movie.
yeah, because usually, well, the moral aspects of AI, the moral aspects of, yeah, that's there.
But
usually,
I mean, even the Cold War element and how this discovery changes the course of humanity, essentially. I think it's there very clearly.
Yeah. A lot of times this is a more of a philosophical, moral aspect to it. But a lot of times, you'll say, "Oh, AI. What happened if we just let AI run rampant? Oh, what would our society look like?" And then the writer will go, "It would maybe look like this, maybe look like that. Maybe they would, try to kill us, a la Terminator. Maybe they would just run everything. Maybe this would happen, or what if we had cloning, or what if we had, warp drive, whatever, right?" So, in that sense, it's not, like looking at it like that, but it's a little more philosophical, moral, which just makes it, a little harder. Like it's a little, it challenges the audience a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is, of course, it's a science fiction film. Yeah, I would agree for sure. Yeah. Movie Eddie, just to know, what would you say your favorite science fiction film of all time? Just to know. Well, for me, that would have to be Battlefield Earth, of course, right? One of the worst science fiction films ever made, according to. Though Dune 1984 was also in that category. It was it was probably considered. Some people considered it to be the worst until that movie came out, and now Dune 1984 is getting a bit of a revival. Going, you know what? It's not that Dune is not that bad. That's a tough question, Eddie.
Well,
I'd have to, picking one is like my favorite of all time. Like, there's just different aspects, different movies I like different aspects from. I have to think about it. I'm a Star Wars fan, but Alien in '79 made my top list of all time. It'd be easier for me to, say, hey, these top 5 or 10 are really good.
Well, for me,
for different aspects, but
it would be 2001, because I earlier said that 2001 was one of my favorite movies, period, of all time. So as a subset, would also
probably
remain.
be 2001.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I'd have to think a little bit more about others and go. My daughter asks me this stuff all the time. What's your favorite character for this? What's your favorite something for this? And I'm like, well, I appreciate, aspects of, what's your favorite, it's like, what's your favorite style of music? Do you like rock or this, or hip hop or whatever? Well, no, different aspects of, I like them for different things, but the different moods they put me in and stuff. So, I always find it hard to just narrow it down to the best of whatever, but yeah, but science fiction is my favorite genre for books, though. I can say that. I can say that. But yeah. Anyway, So Cam, what are we doing in the future? What should we do next on the show? Are we going to do? We're going to do next week. Are we going to do? Well, we might do the Amazing Digital Circus, but you guys hate that show. It seems we get one person.
Yes, we want to
who
lose
really
followers
loves
and
the
views.
show, and he comes in and listen, and he or she comes and is a big fan of the show and comes in, and then I don't think they're here today. But I mean, we like it, and it's coming up to a big finale, and I think we're gonna do some. I'm gonna do some relating to "I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream," Cam, which is a science fiction short story by Harlan Ellison, which Digital Circus is based on. Supposedly, we can
Okay, you want to hear a small connection between Digital Circus and 2001?
Sure.
At one point in Digital Circus, they sing Daisy Bell as Hal did when he was being deactivated.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
I didn't notice that. If you're looking for Dune compared to the book, don't watch Dune 1984. We've talked about Dune on this show a couple of different times, in different aspects, and I would say watch Dune 84. There are some things that are right wacky out to lunch about it, but I'm working on something about the present Denis Villeneuve's Dune and my problems with it. I think I maybe should wait for part 3 to come out in December, but I like Villeneuve's a little bit closer adaptation, but now it looks like maybe he's going off the rails in a bit, so we'll have to see. You were at the premiere of Dune 1984, really? The original program. Wow. You felt the editing back then. You still like it? Oh, really? Because
did you? Oh, so you got the primer where they were explaining all the stuff?
there was some.
That's what I heard they gave out at Dune,
so you could read it and know what was going on.
Yeah, because it was so complex, nebulous.
I didn't even know the movie. I read the book. I think I first read the book in '85, and I didn't know anything about the movie because I wasn't interested in it at that time. And
Good night, PP.
Yeah, night PP. And then I was like at the video store or something. I'm like, what? They made a movie of the book. And then I watched the movie, and then I was like, ugh. At certain aspects of it, I was like, oh, what the heck is going on? Rain on Arrakis. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
All right.
A masterpiece in disarray, the making of Dune. I don't know if I've seen that one. I've seen Jodorowsky's Dune, which was really wacky, but yeah, I don't know if I've seen that. Yeah. Okay. So I wish you guys would give Digital Circus a chance. Cam and I both think it's pretty good. There's stuff there, and it relates to science fiction. I think we got to be better tying it in.
We think.
We think. And, listen, we're old. Like, I mean, admittedly, it's the Gen Zs who really like Digital Circus? My daughters like it. They're 19 and 14. So they like it. I'm coming to appreciate it more. I mean, and Cam and I are both old. We're old. We're your guys' age. We're Gen X. Old guys. So I don't know. Maybe you guys could try it. Maybe you like it, but we'll see. It's also our 100th episode next week, so maybe we should be doing something special for that. I don't know what to do. You guys got any suggestions? What should we do for 100? Let us know. Put it in the comments. Drop it in Discord. Yeah. That's kind of my feeling. Dune Part 2 ended with the train leaving the tracks. Will it go back on the tracks? I don't know. It's a good question. We shall see. I will see it though, of course, but I just don't know if I'll be happy. All right. Old but young at heart. Yes, we all are. Okay, so what else we got coming up? Babylon 5 this week. What are we doing on Babylon? You guys like Babylon 5? One of the best 90s sci-fi shows made. Arguably, I think it sits out right in there with Star Trek. Is it better than Star Trek, Cam?
Very different than Star Trek. Boy, that's a tough question. And we can't help but talking about Star Trek on the Babylon 5 show, but
yeah, I know.
I don't even know if they're comparable. I mean, they're really extremely different.
Deep Space
shows.
Nine, right? Like,
no.
The other argument we have, Deep Space Nine stole, or not? We don't have, but it's out there.
Let's pretend. Well, we don't need to go into it, but let's pretend that yes, everything. Yes, the producers heard about Babylon 5 and the the pitch that was made and everything, and they completely stole whatever. I look at the end product and they're not the same. They're not even close.
The serialized storytelling from Babylon 5 makes me want to like it better and like it more. Yeah. So this Wednesday and every Wednesday, we're talking Babylon 5. This episode this week is Gray 17 is missing. An excellent episode, right? I don't know. I think I mean I haven't seen it yet, but I'm told I'm the guy who's watching it and doesn't know what's going to happen. But people crap on this episode. They don't say it's that good, but we will be there to analyze it. And hey, if sometimes when you don't like the episode, it can be even funnier with what's going on. And of course, don't forget this show. Of course, Toplofty Lounge. We will confirm what we're going to do. Maybe it'll be Digital Circus. Maybe it'll be something different, something special for 100 episodes.
We're going to have cake.
Just have cake and just get drunk. Is that what we should just do? I mean,
yeah. Weatherman, thanks for coming. We
got to talk about something
and hope you feel better soon.
All right, we're pretty much done, except for Cam's favorite part of the show. Yeah, we're pretty much done. So if you want to go, yeah. Movie Eddie says, nicest to find you guys. I hit that subscribe button. Thanks, we appreciate it. The one we lost, back to the Coming Back to the Future. Watch what we do. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. We're trying to just everybody's note. We're trying to climb to 1,000 subs. That's the only thing we need to get monetized. We have all the other stuff. We've got the watch hours. We've got all the stuff you need except the subs, and then we'd be good to go. We can pour some of that money into the show, or Hookers and Blow, one of the two. Yeah. All right. Anything else, Cam? You got anything you want to push? What's going on Tennessee Tabletop Tavern next week? You don't know yet, probably.
I don't remember the date. No, we'll have to check in later. We'll find out Wednesday.
All right. We'll let you know then. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming by. We will go. Wait a sec. I forgot the jokes. How many jokes do you want, Cam?
2.
You want 3, 4, or 5? No. Okay. 2. All right. I think I've got 4 here, but 2 of them are pretty bad. What's an astronaut's favorite part of the computer?
I don't know. What's an astronaut's favorite part of the computer?
Come on, the space bar. Those guys are a bunch of drunks. Why did the planet break up with the star, Cam?
Why did the planet break up with the star?
They just weren't in the same orbit anymore. You know how it goes. That's what happens. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for coming out to the show. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your week. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.